This is a total body strength workout designed for your premenstrual and bleed phases. This is those last few days of each cycle and the first few days of your bleed. During this time, the body is preparing for the energetically demanding process of menstruation. And with that, we can see lower energy levels. Hormones are dropping very quickly. We also see inflammation on the rise as the body prepares to menstruate and also as the immune system comes back online. With all of this happening, we are less resilient to stress. And so we're wanting to tone down our workouts, to shift the intensity of our workouts so that we're not promoting or exacerbating that internal stress. With that, this is something of a deload workout. You want to use a very light set of weights, if any weight at all, something that might be about 50% of what you would reach for in the follicular phase or the ovulatory phase. So we want that slow and steady effort that isn't going to leave you breathless. You should be at about, similar to the load, 50% of your maximum effort. So it's something that you could sustain for a long period of time, and it's not going to dip your energy account into the red. In today's practice, we're moving through one single circuit of exercises that will complete 3 rounds through. Some exercises are weighted, some are not, and there's an emphasis on mobility. So we're working through this lighter weight range to develop greater ranges of motion and really engage the muscles in a way that helps us integrate to then use in the more complex, the more physically demanding workouts that might come in the next cycle in the follicular phase. So we'll get right into our warm-up from here. This is a very quick total body warm-up that will prepare you for engaging the entire body in strength work. Maybe it's a HIIT workout. It's something just to get your blood pumping and to get you ready to move. So we'll move through about 10 exercises for 30 seconds each, starting in 10 seconds with a squat and a knee cross. So we're simply squatting down and taking opposite elbow to opposite knee. We'll go in 3, 2, and 1. So keep it nice and slow, nice and easy here to start. You can take the hands behind the head if you like, and really focus on lifting the knee to the elbow. So we're starting to warm the hip flexors here. We're starting to awaken the ankles, the knees, the hips, getting the lower body ready to move. This nice warming activity. And then we're going to be switching to our windmill exercise in 2, 1. So come into that slightly wider than hips width stance, and we're simply reaching down to the ankle, opposite arm goes up, and then we switch sides. So we're focusing on a little bit of shoulder mobility here, keeping the fingertips stretching skyward as you reach the opposite arm down. Also stretching the outer legs and warming the obliques as we work through this movement pattern. Our next one in about 3 seconds, coming into reverse lunge with a lat pull down. So we'll simply reach the arms overhead, step back, and pull the elbows into the sides. Again, this can be nice and steady. We're looking to generate a little bit of heat, start to increase circulation, and really connect to the breath. So those are the objectives with our warm-up. It helps us sort of drop in to the mindset for the work that is ahead. Last 3, 2, 1. You can turn around. Now we're doing a forward lunge with rotation. So again, arms come up, we'll reach them out and rotate open. Back to center and stand. Switch sides, twist open, forward, and stand. So reach those arms out, open to T, keep the hips square, and come back to stand. Forward, get your balance, open, and together. Last one here, reach, twist, and come back up. Now we'll take the legs out wide, come into your sumo stance. Let your hands come behind your head. Simple side bend here, side to side, and then press up through center. So we reach it down, side bend, and come up. Down, really stretch the sides of the waist here, and then engage the inner thighs. Last one here, side bend and side bend. Nice work, come up. Now turn the toes forward. We're just going to be alternating side lunges with a push. So reach out like that chest press, push forward. Stretch the chest and then contract. Keep the head and heart elevated so the spine is long and strong. We've got about 10 more seconds here. Push. Really engage the chest here. Reach it forward like you're resisting or pushing against a wall. And switching now, bringing the legs together. Simple step out, drop squat. So we're stepping out, tapping the floor, and reaching the arms together. Step out, tap the floor, and reach. So find lots of space in the inner thighs here, coming into more of a sumo squat on each side. And then we'll start to warm up the upper body a little bit more, coming to the back of your mat now, walking out to side plank. So walk the hands down, out to plank, rotate to one side, open it up, come back, and to the other side. And then we're going to walk the hands back to the feet. Come all the way up to stand and walk it back out. Come to plank, open to side plank, one side, and then the other. Walk the hands back and all the way up. Now to our plank launch. So I want you to come into a modified downward dog, bend the knees, lift the heels, and launch to plank pose. Bend the knees, lift the heels, and come forward. So we find that strong plank position at the end of the movement. We've got a little bit of power, a little bit of speed that we're generating from the legs here. Last one like this. And come into bear plank now. Bear plank knee taps. So we're hovering in bear plank, simply tapping a knee and coming back down. Opposite hand to opposite knee. And then release. Tap it out. This is our last exercise. Should be feeling pretty warm here. Connecting to the breath in and out through the nose where you can, maybe releasing heat on the exhale through pursed lips. Last one here. And slowly come up to stand. Roll it all the way up. Let's take a big breath together. Inhale. And exhale. And that is your total body warm up, head to toe. And now you are ready for your workout. We are ready to begin our total body workout for today. Just make sure you have a light set of weights, something around 50% of what you might max out in your follicular phase. So this is a lower intensity workout with a lighter set of weights. We're going to get started with our traveling bear plank in about 10 seconds here, 15 seconds or so. So we'll come down into bear plank and we're simply going to unfold to plank, add a push-up, come back to bear plank, and then go in the opposite direction. So I'll walk you through that here. You can always keep the knees down for the push-up, and let's begin. So walk the hands out to plank, push up, take the elbows back, keep the spine straight and strong, and then walk the hands back in to bear plank. Unfold the opposite direction, legs stretch out to plank, push up, hug the elbows in, and press it up. Hug the knees back into bear plank and unfold the other direction. This should be nice and slow. So the name of the game in this phase of the cycle, these waning days and early days of your bleed, the objective is to protect your body's resources. So we're looking to stay in that low intensity and move a little slower. Rest. We're coming into a half kneeling shoulder press, with a windmill next. So you have a single weight in one side. This is an asymmetrical load. Even with the lighter weight, you'll have that core stabilization action happening. So the weight is opposite the front foot, and we're going to press it overhead, keep it up as you take your opposite hand to the ankle. Come back up and lower down. So we press it up nice and slow, focus on keeping that weight aimed toward the ceiling and come up. So here we're leveraging the mobility in the shoulder to create this movement pattern. So I want you to imagine that the arm stays stationary and we're rotating the shoulder to allow the torso to move in the other direction. We've got about 5 more seconds here. Nice and easy, nice and slow. You will generate rest, a little bit of heat. You might find your heart rate slightly elevated, but it's nothing that is maxing you out. You're certainly not breathless. So you should be able to continue this pace, this intensity fairly easily. Coming into a kneeling hip thrust with a wood chop next. Let's begin. We take it down, bring that weight to one hip, and then power it up. Here you do have that lighter weight, so avoid throwing it overhead. I want you to stay nice and controlled through that full range of motion. So really experience the rotational engagement here. Rather than just quickly throwing the weight overhead, see if you can slow it down like you were moving through water. So you have that time under tension and that opportunity to bring more awareness to the different phases and the different muscles that contribute to rotation. Last one here. And rest. Coming into the second side now, that half kneeling shoulder press with a windmill. So you'll take your opposite leg forward. Weight is on the opposite shoulder. We'll go in about 10 seconds here. So again, we're just pressing up and then rotating. 3, 2, and 1. So press that weight up, keep it aiming to the ceiling, and tap the opposite ankle. This one is also a great way to practice unilateral movement. So targeting single-sided work, I can feel that this is my non-dominant shoulder. So it feels just that little bit extra instability that requires that little bit of extra core stabilization. It's a great way to correct postural imbalances and to really give each side of your body an opportunity to get strong on its own. We've got 5 more seconds here. And rest. We're going to grab our second weight now for kneeling around the world. So we've got the palms facing away. We're going to do one side at a time and take the weight all the way around with straight arm to overhead. We'll go in 3, 2, and 1. So reach that arm out again. Keep it slow, out and around. Avoid swinging the weight so your body stays completely stationary. You'll feel that stabilizing force as we load asymmetrically. It's uneven, which requires a lot of core strength, especially in this kneeling position where we can't really cheat. We can't use the lower back or the legs to help move that load. It's all isolated into the arms and shoulders. So we rotate nice and slow and then come down. Almost here with the around the world, and then we're coming into a spider lunge. So you'll take your weights, one under each hand, and we're alternating in a lunge with a rotate to press. So you'll take the weight, travel with you as you twist to each side. We'll move in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So start here in your lunge, row it back and up, press, and then we'll switch. Come back through that launch position, take the opposite foot forward, draw the elbow to the hip, press it overhead, and come back down. This can be fluid movement where you take out the hard edges, the boundaries, and just make it one nice continuous movement. Open and back together. So again, here we're adding lots of rotation and stability. You're aiming to keep the hips square and even where you're rotating just the upper body. That will help engage the obliques and the sides of the waist. Last one, and slowly lower down. Now we're coming into kneeling to squat. So it's like a get up. So we're starting from that kneeling position, coming into the squat and then standing. We'll begin with the weights at the shoulders here. Going in 3, 2, and 1. Step it up, up, deep squat. Straighten the arms as you rise, and then curl them up as you come down. Come back to kneeling, and switch the leg that you initiate with. So it's a deep squat to stand, come back down, and lower into your kneeling position. This one, I feel my breath getting a little bit out ahead of me. So I'm going to slow it down even further. That nice intentional pace, maybe even drop the weight altogether. so that you can stay in that low intensity working zone the whole time. That's always an option. And rest if you feel your heart rate getting out in front of you or you're crossing that threshold. You can always drop the weight or slow down the pace. We're coming into alternating sunbird now. So come into your tabletop position, shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, and we lift it back. Hug that knee, round in, press through the hands, coil through the belly, reach it back out, and exchange. Other leg lifts. I want you to focus on keeping the hips square so that you're having to engage the glute to lift the leg. We don't want to pop the hip open because that takes the work out of the glutes. Keep the shoulders nice and steady, nice and square, and then press through the hands as you round to engage the upper back and to coil in through the belly to create that core activation. Reach it back and down. Last two. And rest. We'll take one weight now, bring it on its end so that you have it vertical. And we'll start with the legs to one side. We're simply lifting the legs over, and back. This one, really important to keep your spine nice and lifted and the body position with the hips tilting forward so that you're engaging the hip flexors. If that's too much or you feel your upper back starting to round, you can always elevate the hips on the bottom stair of a staircase, maybe a rolled up blanket or a rolled up towel. And here we're really focusing on deep core activation, deep hip flexor activation to create that strength needed to lift those beautiful legs at a distance over that dumbbell. We're here for about 10 seconds, and then we have our final exercise of round one. In this workout, you have lots of different ways that you can use it. 2, 1. You can stick with just a single round and call it good. If you're feeling complete with that, you can stick to 2 rounds or stay with me for the full 3 rounds. Lots of different options in this phase of the cycle. You have to listen to your energy levels and honor your body. We'll take that weight overhead in the L sit, weighted sit up coming next. Lower down, keep the weight towards the ceiling. Then take it all the way overhead, stretch the shoulders, come back up, keep the belly pressing into the earth. Then as you come up, bend the elbows, bring the weight to the upper back, any amount fold forward. So that hip hinge with a slight load here. Press it up, arms are straight, lower down, nice and easy. Keep the hip points lifting toward the low ribs. And slowly come up. So you're rolling up, articulating bone by bone, all the way up to a seat. Bend the elbows and fold. And these intervals are very quick. That's the end of that interval. So we're coming back to the top of round 2 with our traveling bear plank. So we're coming into that quadruped position. We're walking the hands forward, push up, coming back, then walking the legs back, push up and back to center. So our home base pose is that bear plank. Let's begin. Walk the hands out to plank. You can always lower the knees for the push up and walk it back in, bear plank. Step the feet out, lower down, and press it up. Hug it in, bear plank. Walk it forward. Let there be no rush. So you can move nice and slow, nice and steady throughout. Step it back and back. Lower down, push up. Step the feet in, and then walk the hands out in front to plank pose. Lower down and come back to your home base. Rest. We're taking a single weight now for that shoulder press to windmill. So we're coming into our half kneeling position, 90-degree bends in both knees. We've got the spine lifting up straight and strong. Hug your hip points up towards your low ribs, and let's begin. Press it overhead, keep that weight overhead, tap the outer ankle, and come back to center. Let it lower down. Press up, rotate, keep that upper arm stationary so that straight arm lifts towards the sky. It stays in the same position as you come down into the windmill. Tap the outer ankle and come back. So we're keeping the hips nice and square. Try not to let your hips pop open, but instead we're really encouraging mobility in the upper body here. Reach it up and come back, rest. Next one is our kneeling hip thrust with a wood chop. So again, this one, move extra slow so that you feel each phase of the movement. You can really focus on how the intercostals, the obliques, engage to create the rotation. Last 2 and 1. Let's begin. Take it down to one hip and rotate up, nice and slow. So you stay in control of that weight the entire time. This is a great opportunity to get control of the breath, to move a little bit slower. Take it to the side and reach up and overhead. Down to one hip. Feel that rotation. Feel the core engagement as you come through center. We've got just over 10 seconds here, and then we're coming to our second side with the half kneeling shoulder press and windmill. Last 3, 2, and 1. So we'll come into our second side, half kneeling shoulder press. Just make sure you're switching to the opposite arm and opposite leg. We've got 90-degree bends. Again, hug energy of the legs to the midline to stabilize the legs and keep them square. 3, 2, 1. Press that weight overhead. Keep it in that plane as you tap the outer ankle. So again, I started with the dominant side, and now I can feel just that little added instability in the shoulder here. It takes a little more focus, more concentration to keep that arm stretched straight and strong. Take it up and rotate. You'll also feel the stabilizing force in the legs, the inner thighs, as you come down. This is one that even unweighted in a body weight version, you might feel it tomorrow, that core engagement and rest. We're grabbing our second weight next for kneeling around the world. So again, single-sided, we're just taking the weight out and around and back through center. This one, you can ditch the weights altogether and just focus on mind-muscle connection. We'll go in 2, 1, take it out, around, and up. Really focus on sort of knitting the rib cage together. So feel that inner gravity to the center around the navel to support and stabilize the asymmetric load here. So as the weight comes out to one side only, you'll find your core engage to keep you from tilting to one direction or the other. So around the world here, just a few more reps, side to side. And come back down. Spider lunges are next with that rotation, that rotate row key action to press. And again, you can make it one fluid movement, and then we're switching sides. So alternating between each side with every rep. We'll go in 3, 2, 1. So we row it up and press it overhead. Keep the hips nice and square. Switch sides, exchange. So we're only moving the upper body. That lunge stays stable the entire time. Try not to let the hips go along for the ride. That will help you engage the belly, engage the obliques in a more powerful way. So create that stabilizing force. Imagine pressing the inner front knee to the midline, like you're resisting that rotation. Open, come back, and switch. We'll rest here before coming next into our get up with a static curl. So again, we're starting in that kneeling position. Coming to our low squat, we rise to stand, straighten the arms, and come back down the way we came in. So weights start at your shoulders. We'll go in 2, 1. So we step it forward, come into that low squat, rise to stand, straighten the arms, and come back down. Lower to your kneeling position. Take this extra slow. This is the same point that I hit in the first round where I feel my breath getting a little bit ahead of me. So I'm going to slow it down even further. Taking it one step step, one phase of movement at a time, making sure that I stay in that low intensity threshold. 3, 2, and 1. Alternating sunbird next. So you'll come into your tabletop or your quadruped position, and we're simply pulsing the legs up and in. So it's a cat-cow spine here. We'll move in 3, 2, and 1. Reach it back, curl it in, press through the hands to create that broadening in the upper back, and come through center. Switch. I want you to avoid collapsing in the belly as you come into that arch shape, so into the extension. Stay integrated through the belly. So you're still, even though the hip points and low ribs are stretching apart, they're still magnetizing to the center. So you still have that activation and integration in the core. So we're not just collapsing or crunching into the lower back, but staying nice and expansive in both directions, both phases of movement. And rest. We will take one weight, place it vertically for our lifts. Legs lift over the dumbbell. Again, the focus here is on maintaining that L shape in the body. So tilting the pelvis slightly forward, stretching up through the heart and chest. Let's begin. Lift the leg over and up and over. If this is too much, you can always lower the weight so that you're not having to lift the legs quite as high up, but it's just giving you that little bit of an obstacle to get over. Otherwise, the weight is vertically to give you a little bit more height. We've got 15 more seconds here, and then we're closing round 2 with our weighted sit-up. So we have just one more round left after this. You know what is coming, so let that give you an opportunity to really drop in and rest. Now that you aren't really sort of having to pay attention to the movements themselves, you can get more into that flow state. Just really focus on your breath and connecting mind and body. We'll start with our weighted sit-up. Take the weight overhead. 2 and 1. Slowly lower down, articulate bone by bone, reach the arms overhead, and then reverse it. So we curl up bone by bone, bring the weight to the upper back, forward bend just slightly, come up and press through the backs of the arms to straighten and extend. Lower down, reach overhead, slowly curl up, press skyward, bend the elbows back, and fold. Let's see if we can get 3 reps of this nice long range of movement here in this round. Slowly come up, take the weight behind, and forward bend. Nice and easy. Press it up. We'll switch now to our traveling bear plank. We are in our 3rd and final round of this workout. So get ready to move in about 10 seconds, maybe circle the shoulders. This one, if you're using it as your cool down, you might start to slow it down even more, making modifications as needed. So we step the arms forward, plank to push up, and then back to bear plank. Come to your home base and then walk it out, push up, and walk it in. Bear plank. Walk the hands out, push up, take it up, back to bear plank. So we're simply unfolding in each direction, adding that strong push up in between. Hug the knees in, find that bear plank, and walk it forward. Nice and slow, lower down, press it up, and back to bear plank. Last one, step it out and rest. We're coming into half kneeling, shoulder press with the windmill next. So get ready, come into your half kneeling position. Weight is at the shoulder, opposite arm by your side. We'll go in 3, 2, 1. Take that weight over, keep that arm stationary as you tap the outer heel and come back down, outer ankle. Press it up, rotate the body and come down. Again, keep the inner thighs magnetized to the center. So you have that stabilizing force to allow the rest of the body to move independently. So this is an intermediate, perhaps advanced movement pattern that requires a lot of focus, a lot of concentration, and a lot of stability and balance. And come up, rest. Our hip thrust, kneeling hip thrust with the wood chop is next. So that rotation component, keeping it slow and steady so that you stay in control of the weight the entire time. We are so close to the end of this workout. Hopefully you're feeling just that little bit of heat, that little bit of circulation. And let's begin, which is the name of the game during this phase. So we're not looking for maximal strength, maximal power. We're not looking for an all-out max effort sweat session. We're looking just to keep your body moving so that you can develop that consistency day to day so that you're not having to drop off. You're not having to bring everything to a grinding halt during this phase of the cycle, but instead you're able to move your body, tap into endorphins, elevate your mood during a time when we need it the most. 2 and 1, rest. Coming into the second side now of half kneeling shoulder press and windmill. That's the drawback when we push too hard. We hit the premenstrual phase or even the first few days of your bleed, and it's like there's no way we could show up for those intense workouts. And so we stop altogether. Let's begin, press it up and rotate. So the alternative is to meet your body, meet your physiology with movement that is optimized for the performance that you're in that phase. So we have lower intensity, we have a little bit more fluidity and an opportunity to connect to the breath. So we're activating the systems that support elevated mood, those endorphins, improved circulation, all things that will help to alleviate symptoms in this phase. Rest. Grabbing our second weight now for around the world in a kneeling position. This is where movement is medicine. So you're using the movement to support your body's needs in each phase of the cycle. 2 and 1, take it out, around and up, slowly lower down. Here, focus on the descent. So that resistance as you come down, resist dropping the weight. It takes a lot of back strength, a lot of shoulder strength to resist dropping that weight. I know you feel it too. It doesn't take a really heavy weight to feel this exercise. You can be working with body weight only and just focus on that slow descent, that conscious engagement all the way down. Last 3, 2, and 1. Coming into our spider lunge next. So you have a weight under each hand. We'll step 1 foot forward and we'll get ready for that row to press and switching. So switching sides with every rep. We'll go in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rotate open, press, and switch sides. Keep the hips square the entire time. Reach it up and come back. Launch forward, stabilize the legs as you rotate the upper body. So this is a full body workout. You should feel sort of invigorated, replenished from head to toe rather than being wrung out. So rather than going super heavy or super intense, we're adding that element of fluidity, of mobility, to keep us in that lower intensity to support our physiology and rest. After our spider lunge, coming into the get up, so kneeling to a squat, all the way to stand with the arms straight, and then back the way we came in. So get ready to move in just about 5 seconds. Bring the weights to the shoulders, and let's begin. Step it up to your squat, straighten the arms as you come up. Lower back down to a kneeling position and switch sides. We step it up into that squat, rise to stand, straighten the arms, and back down. Breathing here. We've got just over 3 minutes in this workout left. stay with me through till the end, making any adjustments you need in this final stretch. I know you're feeling it in the legs, in the arms, and rest. Set those weights down, coming to our alternating sunbird leg extensions here. So tabletop position, keep the arms straight and strong with that micro bend in the elbows to help engage the arm bones. Squeeze your thumbs into the midline and let's begin. Take it back, curl it in, press through the hands. Re-extend, engage the glute, and come back to center. Inhale, exhale, empty the breath. Inhale, inflate, and come back. Reach it back, curl it in. Inhale and exhale. Use this fluid movement to map the rhythm onto your breath. So it's an inhale, reach, exhale, empty, inhale, expand, exhale, exchange. Inhale, open, and exhale, round in, rest. Take your weight, set it up vertically for those leg lifts. We have just 2 exercises left in this workout. Come into your L-sit, get ready to lift one leg and then the other over that weight in 3, 2, and 1. Let's take it up and over and exchange, up and over. You got this. Let this be slow and steady. Use these last few movements to kind of guide your heart rate back down in preparation for our cool down. If you're using this last round as your cool down, really start to slow the pace and start to bring your awareness to the body. Create that little bit of a scan from head to toe. Just observing, appreciating where you feel the work from today's session. Last 3, 2, and 1. Grab your weight. Final exercise of this workout is our weighted sit-up. So you can bring that weight and get it ready to take it overhead in about 10 seconds. And then again, slowly lowering down, come up to that weighted seated forward fold. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower it down, bone by bone. Reach that weight behind you, and then slowly come up. So imagine someone lifting that weight and pulling your body up. Take the weight to the upper back and fold. As you come forward, don't focus too much on how far forward you fold, but how far forward you can extend the spine. So we want to keep that spine straight and strong as you come down. Avoid rounding in the back. Press it up. Let's get one more rep here. Take that weight overhead. Stretch the arms and reach it up. Last one, weight to the upper back and fold. Come up, release that weight to the side. Slowly transition here from your seated position to standing. So come into that forward bend, bring your hands to your thighs to slowly roll all the way up. That is the workout portion of today's session, and now we will shift into cool down mode. You have just completed your total body workout, and now it is time to cool down. So we'll have just a few exercises to help bring the body back down to a more neutral place. We're starting with reverse lunge and arm circles. Depending on the type of workout that you just enjoyed, if your heart rate is still elevated, it's nice to have step back, this fluid movement, dynamic movement to kind of meet your body where it is. So we step it back and circle the arms. If your heart rate is still nice and elevated, use this transition to guide the body back down. So slowing it down gradually rather than slamming on the brakes, which can impede our body's recovery. Last 3, 2, and 1. We'll step it back this time into a spider lunge, and we're simply rotating open and take the elbow to the inner heel. So rotate it open and then dip that elbow down. We're working into the hip here, rotating the spine, stretching the upper back, a little bit of the chest here. You can always take that back knee down. This is our cool down, so we're looking for kind of slowing the breath rate slowing the exertion. And from here, come to downward dog. So simple downward dog, pedal out the feet, press the hands down and forward, lift the hips, sitting bones up and back, soften the heart, belly, chest toward the thighs. Create lots of space in the neck by letting the crown of the head extend toward the thumbs. Last few breaths here. And as you're ready, step that opposite foot forward, come into your spider lunge. Again, for a rotation. So we reach it open and then take the elbow to the inner heel. Rotate it open, stretch the chest, and dive it back down. Again, if you like, you can have that back knee lifted or down. With the knee down, you'll get to focus more on the rotation and you'll take some of that work out of the legs. So we're looking for this nice, easy pace, a way to slow the heart rate and come back. So we'll come into cat and cow now, extending the spine with the inhale, shining the sitting bones back, and then exhale, rounding, curl it in. Press through the hands, chin to chest. Inhale, stretch the spine in opposite directions, lift the gaze, sitting bones back. From the tailbone, curl in, round bone by bone, chin to chest. Keep working through the range of motion, stretching the spine here. And now we'll switch, threading the needle. Take the left arm, twist it open, and thread that arm under. Bring the left ear to the mat. Spider your right fingers, twist the heart a little bit deeper. Keep the hips square and lifting skyward. Stretch the outer arm here. And breathe. So see if you can keep the breath in and out through the nose now. You should start to feel your heart rate coming down, the body relaxing. And come back up through center, puppy pose. So keep your hips over your knees, crawl your hands forward, relax the crown of the head to the mat. If you like, you can even bring chin towards the earth, soften the heart towards the mat, stretch the shoulders here, wag your tail side to side. And breathe. So dropping into more of the static stretches here. As you're ready, slowly coming up, thread the needle on the other side. Twist it open, really stretch up through the fingertips, and then thread that right arm under, bring the right ear to the mat. Spider the left fingertips, twist the heart open. Keep the hips square and even, and breathe. So feel that deep stretch in the outer right shoulder. Keep hugging the navel to the spine. And then slowly start to unfold. Take some weight into the hands. Step your feet up. Come into ragdoll. So deep bend in the knees, generous bend in the knees. Take opposite elbows and simply sway the body side to side. Feeling a little bit of release in the lower back. Maybe some stretch in the backs of the legs. Relax the crown of the head. And then slowly, as you're ready, bone by bone, we'll begin to roll up. Taking care not to create too much of a rush as you come up. And then we'll work into a side bend. So opposite hand reaches up and over. Really stretch the side waist. And then as you come through center, take the opposite ear and gently encourage a neck stretch here. So without excess pressure, just creating that little bit of weight to stretch the neck. And then we'll switch sides, side bend, reach, extend, spin that top shoulder open, come up through center, gentle neck stretch, encourage that space in the side of the neck, and slowly release. That is your total body cool down. I hope that you're feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little more centered, and it gives you that little bit of transition space from your workout to the rest of your day. So let's take a big breath together. Inhale and exhale, sigh it out. Thank you so much for joining me today for this workout, for showing up for yourself, and for letting your body be moved.